What's going on, Quantum Nation? Welcome back. My name's Quantum, and today I'll be telling you guys the pros and the cons of the most popular OLED on the market right now today, the LG OLED C2. So smack a like on this video, subscribe and join the journey if you like more content like this, and we're getting to the point right now. So the first thing we're going to start off with, pros. So the first one on the list is that it's tack sharp. So if you've experienced other OLEDs, you've noticed that maybe upscaling could be a little bit better in some areas, but this OLED doesn't really give a whole lot to compromise. And in fact, you'll find that more often than not, things just look really crystal clear. And I think that's one of the things that will set it apart when you're shopping around. What's really impressive is that speakers are really good. I mean, like, stupid good for the size of his television. They've got a decent amount of bass that will actually surprise you, and over the C1 I found myself gravitating more towards the speakers on the C2. So if you were somebody that didn't really want to invest in an audio system, you don't necessarily have to, and that is a bonus. Fans of color will be glad to know that this television covers 99% of the DCI-P3 color space. Now that techno mumbo jumbo just breaks down to this being a really vibrant TV that will give you tons of shades of color, and again, that is brilliant for those who like to watch maybe HDR content or even just SDR content. Now, more amazingly, this TV has the feature to, through a secret menu with a special code, which is 1113111, you're able to access something called the HDMI signaling override menu. The benefit of this is if you have an HDMI device like a Blu-ray player or a PS5 or anything, you're having the ability to go in there and change things to BT 2020, which widens your color expression way more, giving you tons more vibrancy. Now, I've done videos explaining how to use this feature, but again, the fact that it returns this year is an amazing gain for consumers. If you like an ease of use, this TV is super easy to use. It allows you to connect very simply. The Magic Remote, very familiar, but again, very easy to use. Unlike some other TVs to set up, this won't really require any internet on the spot, meaning you can just plug and play, which I absolutely love, by the way. And more importantly, when you start going around and trying to do like different, more creative things, you can connect this with portable speakers. I've even connected this with my Bose portable speaker with excellent results. It's really cool that you can do this because sometimes it has to be a dedicated television speaker, and this television doesn't really have that limitation in place. One of my favorite things is that this television comes fully loaded for gamers. It has 10 milliseconds of input lag and even lower if you're using 120 FPS. Now, even more incredibly, this TV has all four HDMI 2.1 ports, so you have pick of the litter basically. Unlike the offerings that you're going to find on the market from Sony, this comes fully loaded. An added benefit is that this television is lightweight, super thin, sturdy, but again, you retain that form factor of it being ultra slim and lightweight because it's an OLED. Now, again, what I like about this television, on top of being ultra lightweight and thin and all that good stuff, is that it's still able to pump out a decent amount of brightness. It's an acceptable level of brightness that it'll be more than bright enough for most situations. And again, that's really good considering years prior, OLEDs used to suffer from being known as the more dim TVs on the market, especially at the premium price points. Now that brings us to our cons. This is going to be pretty cut and dry, so again, we're just going to go right through them. So to start our cons off, I'm just going to say it, this is not a Quantum.OLED. Quantum.OLED, for on average about a $200 difference, receives so much more in terms of picture quality, and I think that's one of the things that kind of make this a little bit of a tough buy for those who want like the top quality. This isn't necessarily going to arrive at that level, so that's something to think about. There also is a risk of burn-in. So if you were one of those people who wanted a TV that's like a forever TV, this TV does struggle with obviously being OLED, meaning that it still does, with static images, run the risk of permanent burn-in. Now, I haven't seen burn-in on the OLEDs that I have had, but there are many cases of static usages, particularly people in the professional space who want to turn this into a computer, that run into some issues down the road. Not everybody, but some people, and it is still a risk, so just be mindful of that. Static content that does not move, not ideal for OLED. Additionally, you want to kind of take into consideration the fact that Honestly speaking, this isn't going to be as bright as the LG C1 in some cases. I've done a side-by-side comparison if you want to check that out, but for the most part, it's going to be a little bit dimmer when we get to those tiny bright highlights. Unfortunately, this TV isn't going to be a champ in terms of motion. It does have more motion artifacts when you use motion processing, and that is unfortunate because the C1, way smoother. So if you're somebody that watches sports or plays a lot of video games, you're going to enjoy the C1 maybe a little bit more for motion. Now, also, it did receive a downgrade. No longer do you have OLED Motion Pro, instead you've been downgraded to the regular OLED Motion. What's the difference, you may ask? Well, you no longer have the ability to choose between high, medium, and low. It just basically automates everything onto like one toggle, and then they put it on basically the most aggressive setting for you, and if you don't like that, tough. Not really ideal, and something definitely I think should be reversed maybe by next year and the future updates, or even on the next model, unfortunately. The television does suffer from Black Crush. So it's not the most aggressive I've ever seen, but it's definitely there and you are going to notice it. So movies like Harry Potter, gonna be a little bit more of a challenge to pull off. Also, it's not the 1000 nits plus that we were expecting from Evo. It's pretty much under that. When I say under that, it's in line with every other OLED that we've seen in years prior. I mean, from the C8 generation onward, it's not breaking the mold. So I feel like Evo is a lot more of a gimmick to try to suck you into a money trap because they needed something new to convince you to buy a new OLED. That's just as honest as anyone could tell you as far as that goes. Sun-filled rooms probably won't enjoy this TV either because, well, simply put, it does have a glossy panel and that usually sees a lot of reflections. Additionally, this television struggles greatly with breaking the mold. So you're going to experience the same user interface as the C1 and you're going to experience more or less the same exact features, almost offering nothing new at all. And that's a shame coming from a brand new perspective of you just bought a television brand new in box, and it's not really breaking the mold. I mean, right down to like the same remote from last year comes back. They aren't really trying to change a whole lot outside of the stand. Again, that I think that with some subwoofers, like I was mentioning earlier on, is like a huge benefit. But overall, it's a very similar feel. Now, all those things said and done, I mean, ultimately, it's up to you to decide what you want to pick. And hopefully these pros and cons make that job a little bit easier for you. If it did, smack a like on this video, subscribe for more content like this, and as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. Till the next video, I'll see you guys later.